Firstly, hello and welcome to the Soul Sync podcast. I'm Jason Paul. Now, this is the first episode I'm releasing since I've been to the Arthur Findlay College and spent a whole week immersed in my mediumship. So I must admit, I didn't really know what episode to release or what to do getting back from the college because it was such an emotional week in so many different ways. And I'm going to talk a bit about that today in this conversation with you, just you and I. So I'm going to talk about my mediumship. I'm going to talk about my experiences at the Arthur Findlay College. I'm going to talk about sitting in the power and just talk about, well, I guess, whatever comes to me. But I wanted to do a conversation with you and I today. I'm actually recording this today on the 11th of September, which is my birthday. You're probably thinking, what the hell am I doing sitting in my office on my birthday recording this episode? But I decided, you know what? It's middle of the week. I basically also, it's a red day for me today. I'll talk about the astrology app towards the end because I now know what my energy is doing thanks to this really handy app that I've been using. But I'll talk about that later. But I thought I will celebrate my birthday when I go away in a few weeks' time with my mum and obviously celebrate it a little bit at the weekend. And actually, I felt inspired, absolutely inspired to do this podcast for you today. So I guess, first of all, how am I? I am feeling a little bit emotional, a little bit like my heart and my soul is just yearning. And I'll talk about why my soul and heart is yearning in a little bit. And I'm just feeling a bit emotional. It's also been really hard because since I've been back, I've been thrown into the fast-pacedness of my business and just trying to get lots of things sorted there. And it's just a bit of a tough time at the moment, I think, business-wise, economically. I think there's a lot of doom and gloom about at the moment. I think a lot of people are feeling very flat. I don't want to go too much into politics on the Soul Sync, but for people in the UK, I think there's just a bit of doom and gloom in the air. I think the news cycle is just very, very depressing, which is why I try and keep myself away from the news, but being a very curious soul and into current affairs, I can find myself getting sucked into the news. On the news today, I actually pulled a tarot card. I've been really getting into the tarot recently, and I thought I would pull a tarot card just really in the spur of the moment to see if Donald Trump would be elected in this upcoming election. That I was really hoping it was not going to be the Emperor card that came out. So I'm not going to make any predictions on the election, but the tarot definitely seems to think that he's going to be elected. But I don't even know why I'm talking about politics, but I think there's just a bit of doom and gloom in the air. So I got sucked back into my business, and I just feel like, I think when you go to the college and you get back, it really has a profound effect on you. And I think for me it did, because when the week there, so if you don't know what the Arthur Findlay College is, first of all, it's a college ran by the SNU, the Spiritualist National Union. People seem to fly from all over the world to go there, which I totally understand why people do. And I feel very fortunate to have it literally on my doorstep. Well, not quite my doorstep, but definitely in comparison to some of the people that fly from all over the world to go there. And it's a really emotional week. So where was my mediumship up to before I went to Arthur Findlay? I had been getting into the tarot quite a lot. So I've been going to a tarot group, and I really got some new tarot cards recently. They're actually witch tarot cards, and they're not actually made of cards. They're kind of like, I don't really know how to explain it. If you're watching on YouTube, let me show you the tarot cards. They're like kind of covered in a bit of a plasticky feel, but they're shiny. And what I've noticed about them is when you look at them, you can see sort of different things in the tarot card depending on how the light hits the card. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that you sort of see different things in the cards. And I was doing a lot of my tarot, and I love the bloody tarot. I must admit, it's so good as a tool for like looking at yourself, and it's scarily accurate. But my mediumship, I was doing some readings, but to be honest with you, I'd been struggling with it quite a lot, because sometimes I was getting really strong evidence. Sometimes I was getting very how would I say? I'd be getting very mediocre evidence. And I think I just went into readings being very, having a bit of fear, kind of getting in my own mind as much, really, just trying so hard. It wasn't through lack of trying, but I would go into a reading going, oh, God, I really want to get it right. And that's kind of where I was at. Do you know what? I'm going to open my door 1 second because it's getting warmer and warmer in this room. 1 second. Right, that's the door open. Who would have thought? Right, door open. Done. I'm back. So, yeah, I was kind of at a place with my mediumship where I was just getting in my own head a lot. And I've been on this big kind of 8-long-month mission to work out what sitting in the power is. And I have had so many people on the podcast now explain what sitting in the power is in so many different ways. Some people say the chakras are relevant. Some people say the chakras aren't that relevant. Some people say it's about going inwards. And, you know, what we're using is a lot of very good and considered language, very articulate. But, you know, what I have felt is some of it's resonated, but I found that I haven't kind of found the way that necessarily works for me. So sitting in the power, it's taken me a bloody long time to actually figure out what it is. So I'll talk about that more as this conversation goes on today. So that's where my mediumship was up to before I went to Arthur Findlay. So my first day, I was on a medium called Elaine Davis's course. Really, really fantastic medium. Absolutely beautiful soul. And I got to the college on a Saturday. And as soon as I got there, I went and took a seat next to this really, really nice guy who I just felt drawn to. And such a beautiful soul. And I just felt such a connection with him. And it was so funny because as the week kind of went on, I honestly believe that him and I were twins from a previous life that were separated. Now you're going to be thinking, Jason, what the hell are you on about? Twins separated in a previous life. But I actually I believe that we were, and the week was just beautiful. I had such a nice group, and kind of as we got into the week, at the very start, about 2 days in, I was with my tutor. I'd sort of been given my group, and because there's a big intake, so there's like 100 of us, and then we all have our respected tutors. So I was in my group, and and it's so beautiful, the Arthur Findlay College. You go into these really beautiful kind of rooms within the college, and the days are quite long, and I must admit, so you sort of start studying at so I say studying, it's not studying. The first thing in the morning is you do the morning meditation, and then the classes kind of run from 9 through to 9 at night, and you do that 7 days. And I'm a bit of a fidget. We all know that by now on the Soul Sync. I get ants in my pants a bit, and my attention span is it's not. Sometimes I think, do I, put this up as a thing before I go, like like a mental barrier? Am I sort of saying about a block before I go and putting myself in a zone? But I am going to find it hard. But I do, honestly, and it's consistent throughout my work and whatever. I can struggle to sit and pay attention for a long time because my mind is just very active, and not all the time. It also depends on loads of things like my energy, how am I feeling, what am I doing, how, there's a lot of factors in the mix, but I can struggle to sit down for a long period of time. So day 2 at the college, I did a reading and started getting really teary and emotional because I think there was a lot of emotion. There's always a lot of emotion flying around in the college anyway, because of the energy, how healing it is. It kind of, I think, shows you a lot of emotional blocks that you might have. It shows you things that are holding you up in your mediumship, and it's very exposing. It can make you feel very vulnerable, because to do mediumship, obviously, you have to show, a real level of vulnerability, because you are being vulnerable. That kind of, I guess, is what it's all about. So on day 2, I felt really emotional because I just felt to myself, can I do this? Is it going to work? Why am I not getting the evidence right and whatever? So I think Tuesday was a day that was meant to happen. I think the spirit world obviously picked the right tutor for me. Obviously everything was lined up as it should be, even though at the time I didn't necessarily perhaps know that at the college. But I got very emotional on the Tuesday because I just kind of was really doubting myself, really doubting my ability, because also the group that I got put in was the right group for me, obviously, because it was a beautiful week. But at the time, I started to doubt whether this group was too experienced for me. Obviously, getting right in the ego mind, getting right in the ego. So that was coming into my mind. And I got very emotional. Anyway, the beautiful guy that I met that turns out was my twin in the previous life, who I think I ended up falling in love with him. He's just such a beautiful soul on so many different levels. It's a very intense environment. And when you go to the college, you can form these really close relationships with people, and people see you at, like your most vulnerable, which is so beautiful. But me and him just spent all our time together, just, talking through everything to do in our lives and going for walks around the grounds, then doing our mediumship, then unpacking a lot of stuff about our own lives. And it really made me feel just so connected. I think to be in that intense environment doing mediumship, to be of a beautiful soul, and it was just emotional, and we just grew really close as the week kind of went on. But he gave me a bit of a really helpful talk, and sometimes people say things to you that just hit you hard and resonate. He said something to me about being in the power, and made me really kind of understand a bit what it actually is, because I've been in it before, but what I don't really understand, and people might even be listening to this podcast now saying, what the hell is the power? And I don't even think that I've got the necessarily the relevant experience to give a proper explanation, because actually, funnily enough, yesterday I recorded an episode of the Soul Sync where Penny Hayward, one of the beautiful tutors at the Arthur Findlay College, came on the Soul Sync, and we were actually doing what we call a Soul Sync session, which is where we talk about one particular subject rather than go through the guest experience. It's just we unpack one topic on the Soul Sync. We talked about the subject matter was your universe. Let me actually, I'm going to say it wrong now, aren't I? Your inner universe and you. That was the topic, and we got onto a big in-depth conversation about the power, what it is, and what she believes it is. And because, like I said, so many people have explained it in different ways, and it actually really resonated. I think so many people will probably find that episode interesting. But the power is, to me, and it was to me on that course, it's about getting into that vibration, that frequency, that energy, where effectively you could get a good blend with the spirit world to then be able to do a reading. The problem with the power is it can be very different to different people, and it's very unique. And obviously, no matter how many adjectives you use, you're trying to describe something that's a very personal feeling, and different people will experience it maybe in different ways and whatnot. So the beautiful soul that I met on the course went on to tell me and give me some words of advice, and I actually started to feel on some of the days that followed that I actually understood the power and how to start to really work with it and get into it. So I did a few, I'll tell you a funny thing that happened on the course. There was lots of highs and lows. It was like a bloody roller coaster, I tell you, an emotional roller coaster. And what happened on the second to last day was my tutor who was just such a great medium. It was so beautiful to see her work because she was so connected to the spirit world, and I just loved the fact to see someone so inspired and talk from such a place of inspiration and connection was beautiful. Like her, even when she would come into the room, the presence, you could feel the energy, you could feel she wouldn't necessarily know what she was gonna who she might pick or the group she might pair, but she would always then sort of connect in and use it was just beautiful to see someone so connected and inspired. But where am I going with this? So on the second to last day, she asked for 3 volunteers, or maybe it was 4 volunteers, to put themselves forward to go and effectively stand on the platform in another group, so in front of one of the other groups, and then do a reading effectively. And I was so tempted to put myself forward. I really wanted to do it and just take that leap of faith. I had the lovely, beautiful soul that I met cheering me on. Come on, Jason. The rest of the group looking at me, saying, come on. And then I just couldn't find the do you know what happened? The words were on the tip of my tongue. I was like yeah, me, and it just wouldn't come out. And then by that time some other people had put themselves forward, and then I said, when the contingent from my group went over to the other group and they were at the room and it was just the other people in my course and also the tutor, I said, oh bloody hell, I'm not sure I said bloody hell, but I said I wish I'd put myself forward In hindsight, I just couldn't find the courage in that moment. So anyway, the contingent went out, the glass come back, they gave their feedback on how they felt it went. And then the next day came, and in the inspired way that the tutor did, she said that there'd been a slight development, but there was another opportunity. You guessed it, another opportunity on the last day for 3 people to go out. And after what I'd said the previous day about how I regretted it, obviously everyone was looking at me. So I put myself forward, and then we had about 2.5 hours notice. So I spoke to the beautiful soul and said to him, I'm getting in my head already a bit about this going to the other group. And he was like, oh, just relax, Jason, just relax. He just sort of made me think, actually, no, I just need to keep high vibes. So what I did was I went back to my room, put some music on, jumped around, tried to get my energy really high, put on a song that I like at the moment. Didn't sing my heart out. I thought with the college walls, I probably wouldn't do that, but I had my headphones on, and getting myself in the vibe. Then it was lunchtime, made a absolute schoolboy error because my eyes being bigger than my belly like they always are at the college, because I just can't keep away from that dessert counter, I tell you. It's like, do you know what it is? It's like the school dessert, and it's like all the staple favourites. The very British trifle, what's the one I really like? The banoffee pie. Oh my God, that sent my blood sugar crazy. So I'm diabetic, and I knew when I had the banoffee pie, but then what I didn't want to do was do too much insulin and then go low before my reading, which I ended up doing anyway. So then I had my banoffee pie, had my big lunch, went up to my room, started to think, oh my God, I'm really full now and my energy is going down because I've had such a heavy lunch, being a fatty at the canteen. And then thought, right, I need to get my vibe high again. So then I had some Coke, because I was like, my blood sugar's going low. Then we got in the class, and she said, right, the contingent can go. And I felt myself in the power. I felt like my vibration was high. I felt I was really connected. And then I went into the other group. I didn't go first, but what I did start to do was realise that when the first person was talking, I was trying to be polite and listen to what they were saying. And I realised by taking my attention off of the power, and by focusing what they were saying, I was getting too much in my head and not enough in the power. So then I thought, Jason, no, as polite as that is, you need to stop paying attention, because you need to just focus on your energy here. So I took a gaze towards the back of the room and just kind of fixed the place. Also, what took me really by surprise as well is the room that we was in at the college, my group, was like a really airy, bright, kind of like, how would I describe it? Like a lounge. It was very bright colours, big windows looking out over the gardens. And the energy was obviously an energy I was used to all week. When we went to demonstrate, I'd never been in this room in the college, actually. It was the actual library room, which was the room, I believe, don't hold me to this, it was Gordon Higginson's office. And when I walked in there, the energy was just so different. It was only over the hall, literally like not even 5-second walk, 2-second walk. But the energy when I walked in was just so different. I wouldn't say it was it wasn't intimidating. It was an intense energy. It was just very different to the room I was in. And I did take a lot from that. And on the wall was obviously a portrait of Mavis Patilla, beautiful portrait of her looking right at me. And I kind of felt her loving, encouraging eyes and smile just looking at me saying, Jason, you can do this. So I then took to my feet. It was my turn, and I'd Mavis very nicely looking at me from where I was stood, which I just felt the energy from that was good. And then I had like the most vivid reading, whereby I had a beautiful father come through to speak to his daughter, and the imagery that I got from the spirit world was just so clear, and the reading was beautiful. Halfway through, I must have been, to be honest with you, I lost all kind of idea of time. I only thought I was up there for 5 minutes, but apparently I was going for about 15 or 20. But to me, the time went so quickly. I almost came out of the power halfway through because I started to make a lot of eye contact with the audience, which was starting to get me in my own head a little bit. But I managed to step back into the power, and the reading kind of that was kind of where it left, and it was beautiful. I probably felt that I could have read a little bit longer, but that was probably, to be honest, it felt like a really natural time to stop. So what I got from that week was I started to really understand what the power is. And I feel like I've kind of come on leaps and bounds, and it's made me realise that every single day now I'm going to sit in the power and just work out, not work out, but kind of build that and let the spirit world, work with my energy. And since I've come back, I came back, and I must admit the last few days I've just felt a bit, I think because obviously I've gone from the college energy and all that love and all of that kind of very intense but very beautiful energy that the college has. And then I've kind of come back to work, to normal, obviously, earthly problems and earthly life kind of as it is. And it's just been, and also I must admit, I really felt that I've been missing the beautiful soul that I met that stepped on a plane and went back to Australia. And I kind of felt like after having such a connection and whatever, just finding myself reminiscing and going back and thinking of that and feeling like I'm missing him a bit, actually. Well, feeling like I'm saying a bit, I am missing him. It was just such a beautiful experience. So I found myself booking to go back in a few months' time to do another course, but I'm actually just going to start practicing my mediumship more and doing some more readings and things like that. But I feel like I've really turned a corner, and I've really kind of understood so much about myself, the power, how to get in the power, what the power is, and my understanding of it, about raising one's energy, holding it. And actually, do you know what? I'm not going to go into too much detail more about the power now, because actually the episode that I will release soon with Penny Hayward, we talk about it in quite some detail, and I think you'll get a lot from that. But I just wanted to say, the app, the astrology app. So basically, and I promise you, I make no money from this app whatsoever for recommending it. I am literally just using it myself. It's called Align 27, and it allows you to basically plan your life to some degree around your astrological birth chart. And if you have a look on the screen now, you can see all your days are kind of color coded. So you basically put in where you were born, the time you were born, the location, and etc. Then it tells you what your red, your green days are, what your power days are, and it goes into really good detail. It even tells you about upcoming golden moments in the day where certain planets are in certain positions. And it's honestly, I could sit here looking at it for about 20 minutes a day. You can get, you can really get into it. It was the Australian Beautiful Soul, which I've talked about a few times now, told me about it. And it's actually a really interesting app. The only thing I would say is it does charge you from the start. And the funny thing was, I realised I downloaded it before a few months ago, but then I never used it because it adds a subscription. And if you're anything like me, you've probably got loads of subscriptions to all different things, your Netflix and everything. And I thought, another £7 a month. Do I need this app? But actually, I definitely think it's worth £7 a month because it's making me much more aware if I'm feeling in a certain way on a particular day, and I might be feeling just my energy's a bit low, something's not, I'm feeling a bit unsettled today. This app is scary because it actually all aligns very well. And I do think astrology is one of these things, because obviously we explore so many different subjects on the Soul Sync. I think you can go down a rabbit hole with it. And in another masterclass we've got coming up, we actually, a Soul Sync session, we are going to talk about astrology and the rabbit hole you can go down with it and how you can get so into it, but you can literally plan out every element of your life around your astrological calendar. So be warned, if you do go into it, you might find that you're really into it. But it's an interesting app, and I think it's well worth £7 to see what's going on. So yes, I'm using that. But anyway, that's a bit of an update from me. I will continue to keep you posted about my mediumship and all things the spirit world as I continue to go along this journey. And yes, I hope you have a wonderful week. Lots of love. Goodbye.